the end of the day, I'm joined by Francis Warren.
End of the day, end of a good day.
Yeah.
A quick shirt day.
Was that a little bit strange? It's been a while since you hosted a press conference.
It's been, well, pre-lockdown, I think. Yeah, it must be. I think my old man loves them now. No, listen, it's been a lot of fun. Obviously, today was fantastic to see all familiar faces and to see the fighters doing what they enjoy doing as well, which is getting in each other's faces and talking the fight game. It was fun today.
Absolutely. Obviously, your old man's in Cleveland. We'll come on to that in a second. But yeah, we'll discuss this weekend's card. I mean, 3 British title fights. You got Anthony Yard topping it as well. Yeah, this is a really strong card this weekend.
It is a strong card. I mean, I think it was quite. I mean, you go to the press conference earlier. It was quite intense. Between. I mean, I say intense. The most intense one I found was between Leon Woodstock and Anthony Kikachi. I think in terms of what's on the line, and Anthony obviously wants to get onto that next level. He's won the British title against Sam Bowen back in November 2019, which seems like different lifetime ago. That fight's been on. Well, no, it's never been off. It's been on, then rescheduled. I think that's the right way to describe it. 3 or 4 times. Leon, I hate using that phrase, like it's not last chance saloon or anything like that, but I think he's got to, for his career, he doesn't want to be one of these guys that goes away, wins an 8-rounder, comes back, and gets put in for a title fight because he gives a good account of himself and makes anyone else look good. He wants to go in there and win a title, and he wants to go in there and do it well. So I think you think Archie fight, the Zelfa fight, and now this is the third big opportunity he's got to put himself on the map domestically. I think that is important. I'll come on to that domestically. Then Leon's got to do the business Saturday. However, Anthony Kikachi, he's I think having beaten Sam Bowen, who many believe was probably ahead of most of the guys, Anthony proved everyone wrong and said that and showed everyone that he's the main man in the division at British level. I think if he beats Leon, his next move's got to be European regional title for BO, BC or BF. Akeem and the sharpest dresser in town today. Akeem and Sam, I think they don't like each other at all. And I think their contrasting personalities perfectly summed up in their contrasting boxing abilities. Akeem 15 and 14 I believe. One stoppage. I think, from my memory goes right, it's 37 rounds in his last 4 fights, which is a lot. It's. I think his stoppage was at a cut, and that's the one that ended early, and it was 3 10s and then the other one was stopped in the 7th, maybe 38 rounds. I think that's that if I'm right. But he's a boxer and he's a distance fighter. If he stops Sam Maxwell, I would be very, 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 very surprised. Or even has Sam Maxwell backed up for 10-20 seconds of any round. I think it's going to be an accumulation to win on points if Akeem wins. I do fancy Sam though, with that concentration and that experience he's got, and also having done 10 rounds with Joe Hughes and 8 really awkward, difficult rounds with Ben Fields, who, I tell you, if anyone wanted to get prepared for a distance title fight, go and fight Ben Fields, because that guy will, he'll give you some tough rounds and a real pain in the arse experience. And I think that would, the last 18 rounds that Sam's done will stand him in good stead for fighting Akeem. So I do fancy Sam to stop Akeem. I really, I think that just going on records and past, but Keen proved me wrong and made the best man win on the night.
Absolutely. Of course, another intriguing fight with the rematch between Casey and Ejaz. Obviously, Casey was a huge favourite going last time, so it's either repeat or revenge in that. And great to see Anthony Yard back on our television screens.
Ejaz and Casey, I mean, I think that's. I mean, it's another intriguing one. I mean, I don't think they have a stoppage between them, do they? So I think that's going to be a tricky
Could go
one.
distance again, yeah.
Could go, probably will go. It's a tricky fight. It's a British title fight, and you know, I just be nice to see one of them step on the gas a bit more than they did in the last fight. And again, best man win. I think that's a good fight. And Mr. Cole, Anthony Yard, looked in great spirits today. Spoke very well, as he always does. You know, recently turned 30, and seems like he's been around forever. But you know, as we know, he hasn't. I mean, he's not. You know, he's been involved in some good, terrific fights. Obviously with Kovalev, and he had a great fight with Linden. And I know he wants to right that what he sees as a wrong. When I say wrong, I don't mean like wrong decision. I think that he wrong in his performance wasn't up to scratch as far as he's concerned. I'm sure he'll agree with me when he says you didn't see the best Anthony that night. He mentioned something about the crowds giving him an extra adrenaline lift. So let's hope for an adrenaline-packed performance in front of a packed Utilita arena on Saturday from Anthony Yard to set up a great rematch with Linden.
Absolutely, we look forward to it whenever it happens. Francis, before we talk about a couple of your fighters and what's happening with them and the card on Sunday night in America, just want to get your thoughts on some news we had from the WBA. I think it was yesterday, where they said that they're going to scrap their interim belts. Obviously, that has implications for Mr. Daniel Dubois, because either him or Trevor Bryan will be ordered now to face Anthony Joshua whenever that mandatory comes up for the WBA. Well, the winner of Joshua Usyk. So from a kind of a Queensberry Dubois point of view, that's really good news, isn't it?
It's good news, but you know, and listen, Daniel was. I said in a press conference there earlier. It might have been with another interview that he's thereabouts, Daniel, at world level, and another good win on Sunday. And then, you know, we've always thought Trevor Bryan was the fight we wanted. So I think we just get Sunday out of the way and we see where the land lies. I mean, with the WBA, it is what it is. I mean, it's been a long time that people have been calling for, I suppose the way you say it, for action to be taken. Titles, you know, if they're, I think the way you got to look at the titles, I think there's more. There's more title fights now that being unification fights and undisputed title fights trying to be made than ever before. You know, you've obviously got Josh and you've got Alvarez and Plant, and then do you want to say Josh Taylor? Obviously, you know the big fellas. Hopefully, one day they get that on. You know, Lopez, and you've got, you know, I think the importance of these titles is still there, but they've got to be the right titles. Daniel at the time won a legitimate title that was available. What are you going to do? Just say no, thank you, because it doesn't, you know, ethically it doesn't work, or whatever. You know, it's not. At the end of the day, these guys want to win titles, and if you win a title, you climb the rankings, and that's what we did with Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely. He's on a massive build.
It was a good move for our fighter at the time with the titles that are available, and I think that's the way you got to look at these titles.
Well, yeah, it looks like it's going to work out well for him. Yeah, as I said, he's part of a massive card Sunday night from Cleveland, where Tommy Fury's also in action. Obviously, that is on BT Sport Box Office, and that's BT's decision ultimately to put that card on Box Office. But as you're aligned with BT, just perhaps a comment from you about why that is on Box Office, and there has been a little bit of criticism on it. What's your kind of response, comment on that?
If you look at other pay-per-view cards around the world, for example, you look at the numbers that perhaps that they generate, or the numbers that are anticipated, I don't think it touches where BT hope this would go on Sunday. And it is something that, however much you want to embrace it or reject it, these guys such as Jake Paul, they're in boxing. They're in it. They've stuck their head through the door, and then they've pushed their shoulders through, and now they're here, and and they're part of the setup. BT feel it's a pay-per-view worthy card, and that's the end of it. That's it. I suppose the proof will be in the pudding, and it'll be in the numbers. And I believe that, you know, I think if it's something, including when you put Tommy Fury and Daniel Dubois on you know, in the mix, it's something that I think people will buy.
Ultimately, it's your choice, and that's the beauty of it with pay-per-view. It's your choice whether you want to buy it. Yeah. And also, like, staying with the theme of networks, obviously there's been a massive change recently with DAZN coming into the UK market. Obviously, Matchroom leaving Sky. Where do you kind of see BT? How strong are they at this present time? And since you kind of linked up with them, how do you think it's progressed with you and BT?
I think it's amazing. I think what BT have brought into boxing is, first of all, it was massive competition to Sky, and with competition breeds aggressive success. You know, I think what BT and Queensberry did with Daniel and Anthony over the past few years was incredible. Two guys with very limited amateur experience, and built them up into, you know, very, very well-known boxing figures, if not sport figures, within the UK. And I think with Anthony a bit wider than that. What BT have committed to and done with Joe Joyce is incredible. I think that Joe is now one of the top sportsmen in the UK, and internationally regarded as one of the top heavyweights in the world. And, you know, that's through the graft of Queensberry and through the exposure that BT have given him. And what the other thing that they're very, very committed to is bringing young fighters through. And I'm not just talking about these prospect shows. I think, you know, even before that, it's so refreshing to see that young guys getting the airtime that perhaps weren't that fighters weren't getting, and it's probably before. The last time it was happening was when maybe we were on Sky, or, you know, especially, I mean, BoxNation gave guys the whole fight night, but when we were on Sky, we made sure that young guys got the exposure and got the chance to shine. I mean, we did, you know, the prospect shows on BT are fantastic, but it's, you know, especially, you know, with my dad, you know, he was always committed to showcasing youngsters and making sure that they had that experience, that when they were called upon to be on a top card and be on a chief support or headline an event, they knew they had that experience and they knew how it felt to do it. So they weren't overawed, they weren't felt under unnecessary extra pressure, but they thrived on it instead of being worried about it.
Yeah, I know your dad's got a massive passion for that.
Yeah.
Well, we know your guy Louie Lynn will be getting a lot of television exposure, and it's going to be on YouTube, BT's YouTube channel, headlining a card against Amin Janzeb, which is a brilliant fight, 10th of September. Yeah, just talk to me about getting Louie that fight and why Amin Janzeb.
Amin was offered a fight. This is how it happened. Amin was offered a fight, and Tundi said to me, I think we'd rather fight Louie Lynn for his title. I managed Louie, I went, we make a phone call. I made 2 phone calls, one to Martin Bowers, his trainer, one to Louie Lynn. And it didn't take very long for him to come back and say, let's do the fight. And again, it's contrasting styles, and that's what we want to achieve on not just the prospect shows, but also on the, you know, obviously on the main shows, like on Saturday night with Sam and Akeem and Anthony and Leon. It's really, really competitive fights and contrasting styles that make fights. It's the oldest adage in boxing: styles make fights. Louie Lynn is a pressure fighter, capable of stopping people. Amin, 8 fights, never lost a round, but he's never stopped anyone. So we'll see. Can Amin dance around Louie, or is the pressure going to tell? And Louie, you know, overworks him and either stops him or outpoints him. It's very interesting fights. We'll
find out 10th of September. Everyone tune in. Just before we close off, please, Francis, obviously you manage Sam Knox as well, who's been incredible. He had a really good couple of performances in quick succession. Are we going to get that fight with Mark Chamberlain?
Listen, there are fights to be made within Queensberry stable, and that is one of many fights that I think we can look at making. Obviously, Louie and Amin is one of first of very many, as in Leon and Anthony is this weekend. Sam and Mark have got a lot of learning to do. However, it's definitely a fight that we'll be looking at making at some point. But it's gonna need a good. That's the top of the bill card, and that's a title fight. You know, that's not just going to be some you know, it's not going to be a fight that we're just going to let fall by the wayside and unnoticed. That's a fight that we're going to build for a little while. So they'll both keep winning. They'll both keep doing what they're doing, and let's let it bubble.
Yeah, I get that, because you wouldn't be doing your job. Wayne Batten wouldn't be doing his job if you just threw your guys in now. So yeah, but potential for that one for maybe a British title, Commonwealth title one day is there. Big fight.
If not more, because I think both guys are very capable of going and winning one of those titles each. I mean, you know, start looking at British, Commonwealth, but Europeans and things like that. I mean, I think it'd be a really big, big fight. I mean, both the guys have got huge followings as well. So you know, that might be a little football ground fight, that one.
Possibly.
I think seriously do some numbers, that one.
Definitely. All right, Francis, Preacher time on IFL TV. Tune into BT Sport for the card from Birmingham, and then BT Sport Box Office for Paul Woodley, obviously featuring Tommy Fury and Daniel Dubois. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.